Tiger Woods' father says it all. Where are the politicians, journalists, and celebrities today who will speak like this? As you know, social media censorship is growing every day, and it is affecting us as well. The best way to support our work and make sure our videos get seen is to sign up for our newsletter on our website, pulseofisrael.com, and to share our videos. And if you are already a subscriber, then thank you. Watch this short video clip of Tiger Woods and his father being interviewed by Oprah Winfrey back in 1997.
You know, I always had to check a box, you know, in those little forms and stuff. And they said, pick one. I can't. I usually pick African American, Asian, because those are the two households I was raised under.
So you don't want to deny your mother's heritage and household?
I'm not going to deny my mom's heritage. I'm not going to deny my father's heritage. Those are the two I was raised under, and those are the only two things I know.
Although he may call himself Cablinasian, when people see him, they see a black face. They see a black man. How did you raise him to believe that he was of what race and belonged to what race?
The human race.
The human race.
Tiger Woods' father's response was epic. Epic! And so true. The human race. While Oprah is trying to feed the beast of division, Tiger's father slaps her down with the truth. We are one race, the human race. He did not raise Tiger to be a black or an Asian. He raised him to be a person, a human being like all others. This was back in 1997. What a different world it was back then. I personally grew up in the Northeast of America back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Was there racism and discrimination back then? Of course there was. Racism and discrimination has always existed, and it always will exist. But it existed and will continue to exist from individuals. It was not systematic when I grew up, from the government or across society. It was individuals. Life was much more unified back then, even though cases of discrimination took place. Of course, there were divisions and disagreements as well, but overall, all Americans were Americans across the Western world. Republicans, Democrats, conservatives, liberals, with whatever disagreements that existed at the time, still there was a feeling of togetherness in the different countries, not of the deep division, hatred, and intense anger that exists today between people in Western countries. And again, what I'm talking about does not just apply to America, but to all Western societies across the world, including in Israel. Over the years, the identity politics of the left has sown deep divisions in our society. So much hatred, so much animosity, so much violence, all in the name of social justice, equality, and as the Jewish left likes to say, tikkun olam, or fixing the world. People have been literally brainwashed to believe that this identity politics and critical race theory is all about healing the world and making the world a more inclusive, better place. But it is the exact opposite. It is destroying our societies, creating deeper division than ever before, dividing families and friends like never before as well. What happened to all being able to live together with our different identities without the anger, animosity, and hatred and violence? It was so refreshing to hear the clapping from Oprah's audience upon hearing the answer from Tiger Woods' father, the human race. Back then, people understood that we are one, regardless of our skin color, sexual orientation, religious identity, etc. But today, people celebrate massive violence in the name of Black Lives Matter, which is a movement that is totally racist and discriminatory. It has nothing to do with making life better for blacks. Rather, it is part of a growing ideological movement that also brainwashes white people to be ashamed of themselves for being white. But who cares what color someone is? It's just a skin color. We are all people. We all have the same veins and arteries, just different skin colors, different upbringings. Did you see this latest headline about Coca-Cola's training program? Quote, Coca-Cola staff told an online training seminar, try to be less white. That is crazy. The training materials actually said, quote, to be less arrogant, be less certain, be less defensive, be more humble, listen, believe, break with empathy, and break with solidarity. Really? Like really? Those are character traits of white people? Only white people? What kind of nonsense is that? Coca-Cola responded to this fiasco by saying, quote, our Better Together global training is part of a learning plan to help build an inclusive workplace, unquote. So let me get this straight. Being racist against whites is the new way of inclusivity. Sorry, I don't see it. And this is not just at Coca-Cola. This type of diversity training and white shaming in the name of inclusivity is happening everywhere. Take a look at this recent Guidelines for Talking About Race at the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History. As the title of the article says, in Smithsonian Race Guidelines, rational thinking and hard work are white values. Really? Since when? Only white people think rationally and work hard? Now that is truly racist. Yet it is coming from the woke leftists trying to fight racism. Now try to square that circle for a moment. All of a sudden, everything is considered wrong based on identity politics. Mother's Day? No more, that's wrong. There are tons of genders today, and dedicating a day to mothers is offensive to all other gender types who also do mother-type roles. Next, believing in two genders? Well, that is wrong too. There are tons of genders, and how dare you misgender me? You have an opinion? No way. Not if it is politically incorrect. How dare you say that? You are only allowed to voice your opinion if it is aligned with the radical left's agenda. Right now, this tweet actually says it all in relation to this whole identity politics gender agenda. Quote from the tweet, the gender identity trans argument is not of acceptance or tolerance. It is based on forcing a change in belief through public validation of the argument. Everyone must agree it's true. Everyone must verbally state they were wrong about biological sex. Everyone must comply. That's the tweet. Yep. And that is the same for all their woke identity politics issues. We have to comply, or else. You're wrong. This agenda of the left is not making the world a better place at all. It is dividing us more and more and causing more friction and animosity between people. Again, even between family and friends. This is classic class, rate, identity politics division going on across the Western world, and it's also happening here in Israel. Everything is considered wrong, and everything is considered offensive. And honestly, it's enough. The world is suffering at the hands of those who think like this and are pushing this agenda. Once upon a time, people were sane, and we were able to live together. Do you remember those times? It really wasn't that far back. Now, I want to end with a positive message from the Jewish people. Instead of taking part in this victim Olympics, as I like to call it, the Jewish people have always focused on being victors. We do not focus on how much of a victim we are, even though we would probably win that Olympics with over 2,000 years of exiles, expulsions, persecution after persecution. That certainly makes us one of the biggest historical victims throughout time. But we don't focus on that. No, not at all. We, the Jews, focus on moving forward and making the world a better place. We focus on our families. We focus on our communities. We focus on miraculously returning to be sovereign in our ancestral homeland of Israel. Miracle of miracles. Don't get me wrong. We don't forget the horrible things we experienced in the past. Almost every single Jewish holiday is based on one of those horrible experiences from our history. But we don't focus on those stories in order to wallow in our sorrows as horrible victims. No, not at all. We remember those sad times to focus on being thankful for being saved, with a positive attitude of gratitude to God, to then move forward and make the world a better place, starting with our families. So like I said, we are focused on being victors, not victims. May we all see speedily in our day the time when our societies are inspired by the victor attitude of the Jewish people and dump the divisive and corrosive identity politics critical race theory of the left. To that, I end with Amen.
Pulse of Israel, frontline videos from the Holy Land. Support our work by donating today.